Stuart, how is Sam Nicholson, and how does what has happened impact on your planning, I guess?
It's not just Sam, it's fair to say. I think it's been well enough documented now that we're very hamstrung with the injuries that we have. We suffered a few off the back of Saturday. Yet again, you'll see Shane Blaney coming off as well. The Sam Nicholson one was disappointing because we were getting to the kind of latter stages of his rehab, and then there was a lapse, a kind of a breakdown. And then, from there we're seeking the best possible guidance, best possible medical attention. Sam's had a consultation. We're quite far down the road with what we think it is and what needs to come next, sort of thing. And again, I'll not comment too much exactly what that is at this stage, because there's still one or two aspects that we just need to firm up. But again, we know it's an injury that's going to keep him out for a significant period of time. And with this, the same as everything else, we always look at the human element. I'm really disappointed for Sam, because quite clearly we signed here as a player of quality and someone that would add an awful lot to our group, and he's going to miss a stretch of time, so we'll support him as we always do. He is down, he will be disappointed in that he wants to support this football club and he wants to perform for this football club, so we'll continue to help him through that and make sure that timescales is as minimal as it can be. But again, I touch on there's several others in there that would have a serious opportunity to play in our team, and I think it's just disappointing at this stage of the season. We've kind of had it through pre-season, we've kind of had it for large chunks last season. And I think a lot of times the question that will come from yourselves is, I had it for someone yesterday, is if we don't delve into the exact kind of loading and what we do in training sessions and all the rest of it, I can assure you that we're as meticulous with that side of things as we possibly can. With some of the injuries, it's been impact completely unavoidable. With some of it, we're trying to limit time on the pitch for players to make sure that they're fit and they're able to play in games on a Saturday. And it gets to the point almost for me just now where we can't really train, much less than what we are, to prepare a group of players for playing a game of football on a Saturday. So it's been a real difficult juggling act. Sam's one of the ones obviously that's in there that's disappointing, but I have to say that there's several in there that without question would add to this group of players. I was really happy with some of the business I've done over the close season, but it's suffice to say that we're going to have to wait a significant amount of time for some of these guys to actually take to the pitch.
On that, as we sit here now, how many first team players are you without for the weekend, and moving forward, will you need to try and bring other bodies in to fill the gap that's been left by those long term?
Yeah, I think we're sitting about 8 just now. I think that's what we're without just now, is about 8. Some clubs can absorb that, some clubs that probably wouldn't have any kind of impact. I've already alluded to the fact that I'm saying that everyone that's injured just now seriously comes into my thought process of playing and getting serious minutes in our team and contributing. So that's where it becomes an even bigger blow. Without being disrespectful, we're not talking about some of our teenagers, we're not talking about some of our kind of development players, we're talking about bona fide first team players. So of course that puts a bit of stress and a strain on selections and protection of the guys that are out there and that are playing and trying to look after them. We would like to do a little bit more business, but again, you can see that we have done a fair amount of business to this point, so that's difficult. It is difficult, and it's obviously very much on a shoestring, if you like. We don't have masses to work with, but what we would have to be is, if we can get another 1 or 2 in, we're going to have to try and be pretty creative to do that, to ensure that in the meantime that we have good quality on the pitch, but not just good quality on the pitch, a bit of support to that as well, and a bit of depth to our squad to make sure that we've got options, especially in those forward areas, which it's been pretty difficult for us.
The SFA have brought in John Moss to oversee VAR. What do you make of them looking further afield for expertise?
Yeah, again, I don't know John. I think it'll be highlighted that he's had a career within the game. He's obviously officiated in a lot of big games at the top level. We'll have a real good understanding of the system just now in terms of VAR and what that looks like. He'll have his own opinion, I should imagine, on aspects that may not work and probably some ideas that will improve that or help develop that side of it. But again, it's all theory at this minute. You know, I'm always big on this, the evidence, but I'm sure on the face of it, how it looks for me is we're trying to be proactive, and we're trying to add another handle there that helps support this system within the country, and helps us to put ourselves in a position where we're not constantly questioning, chastising the officiating the games of football. So certainly no objections from me. I think it is a proactive way of thinking. I think it's a proactive appointment of someone that's got really good experience in the game. But obviously time will tell how that looks and how that evolves over time.
Back to injuries, Stuart, what's what are Lennon Miller's chances of playing Saturday, and obviously Ross Callaghan was on the list as well. What's happening to him? Is that obviously...
Yeah, Ross is a bad one as well. Really unfortunate. The detail of it was in a light training session on Monday morning. Ross had trained really well, and at the very end of it, again, it all seems to be the last 10 or 20 seconds of a session. He's pulled up with what looks like a hamstring injury, and the severity of it looks bad enough that it's going to keep him out for a period of time again. With Lennon was carrying a little bit going into the game at the weekend, and you can see that we're obviously short in that midfield area. Probably need to make the point that in such a young lad that he still thrusts himself forward to play. I think a lot in the past have and will moving forward take themselves out of a game, but he sort of shrugs it off. And it is a bang, it was a whack. He took another whack on Saturday, hence why he ended up coming off the pitch. So he's a doubt for the game as well. He's not trained with us this week, so he'll be a doubt for the game as well.
Does it become a bit of a vicious circle? You maybe having to bring players back that you maybe wouldn't do normally because they're so short of bodies, and then that kind of puts them under strain as well. Is just unavoidable at this stage?
Yeah, I must admit, I don't ask MD to feel sorry for me, because I know they certainly won't anyway, but I just feel that that is definitely a point. We can't rush people back, because then it is that vicious circle where you start to lose them very, very quickly. But I'm always one for getting up and going again in the morning, and whatever players we have fit here at the football club, along with the work that the medical guys are doing to try and speed up that process, get some players back towards training with us and getting them involved in the group. The players that I've got to work with, I trust, and I'm 100% behind that, and I'll continue to try and be creative in what we do, and however we set up, whatever personnel takes to the pitch, it's always with a plan, and it's always with that 100% commitment from myself and the staff. And they're good players as well. This is a bit where we almost want to make an excuse for ourselves all the time and feel sorry for ourselves. We've got a group of players there available to us at this point that I think can still be competitive in this league. I suppose the point you want is to have more options and to have a little bit more depth, especially when you've brought a number of players in. But yeah, we're trying to avoid that vicious circle. We're trying to avoid a scenario whereby we're rushing guys back and then they dip out after a week or a few days coming back into full training.
Tom Sparrow, I know he's still building up his fitness, but you might not have many midfielders to choose from. Is he kind of ready to play if he's... Yeah,
he's getting back into the swing of it. He obviously missed a bit of time. It was both a back and a groin issue he had. That was two of the injuries that we hadn't faced over pre-season. That was two different areas of the body that we hadn't faced. So he had that at the same time. Tom's a fit lad, so probably didn't take him just as long to get up to full speed. But yeah, we've got him back into full training sessions. He's had a little bit of game time against East Stirling last week in the cup game, just to try and bring him up to speed. So he starts to give us another option in the middle of the park.
What's the nature of Shane Blaney's injury after coming off?
It was an impact injury. I think it was a tackle from, I think it might have been Jordan White later on in the game on Saturday, and it's he's got a tear in his, I think it's his medial ligament in his knee, so that's going to keep him out somewhere between 4 to 6 weeks as well. Shane's one of the kind of robust guys in our team, and as soon as I seen him putting his hand up on Saturday, then I knew that there was something significant there. We've had him scanned, and that's exactly the case. So again, it probably just evidences my point. It's not just the hamstring pull or the patella tendon tear, or it's an impact injury on his on the inside of his knee, I think, which is going to keep him out for several weeks too.
with the midfield in particular, I know you spoke about getting creative, but these are guys that are out until October, November. How do you get creative over the long term as opposed to maybe short term fixes over a game or two?
But I can't magic anything up. I don't have a magic wand to change the profile of players, but what I have to do is each specific game we always try and adapt no matter what. That's always been the way that I've worked over the last 18 or so months, and I'm going to have to do that again. You know, that at times that might be asking a slightly more defensive player to play slightly higher up the pitch. The flip side of that, you might need a more offensive player to come into your team to do a more sort of defensive job. So again, I'm not going to go into the specifics of who that is and what that looks like, but suffice to say that you're going to have to ask someone that's profiled more in, you know, either the offensive side or the defensive side to slightly adjust and change their role within the team. And from that becomes adjustments to your shape and your team as well. So we've done that for a long period of time. It's just that it probably puts a wee bit more strain on that thought process to ensure that we try and get that balance as right as we possibly can. And all the while we'll get guys like Apostolos and one or two other guys more up to speed than what they have been.
It's Hampden this weekend, Stuart. Is that something else that you have to consider or to prepare the players for? They're not used to playing Rangers at the National Stadium?
No, I don't think so. I've went on record numerous times and certainly don't want to fall flat in your face that we've been incredibly competitive with both Rangers and Celtic in my time here. We've picked up some points. We obviously got a kind of landmark victory, if you like, at Ibrox the last time that we were there, which was great. But I'm certainly not naive enough to think that because you have a reasonable record in terms of your performances and picking up some results against the top two teams in this country, that's all going to fall into place. But I said it from, I think I was actually out in Holland during pre-season where this sort of news broke that it was going to be, you know, the game would be at Hampden and it would be Rangers' first one at Hampden as a home venue, if you like. It doesn't make any difference whatsoever. It genuinely doesn't. You're going to the National Stadium, you're playing in front of a similar number of people, you're playing against a really good side, in my opinion, and the challenges are going to all be there, whether that's at Ibrox, whether that's at Hampden, Fir Park, doesn't matter. The venue, we more concentrate on the team, the players and the quality that they've got, as well as trying to acquit ourselves as best we possibly can.
Was there any contact with Rangers, perhaps changing the first game to here, or?
No, none whatsoever. You know, we could look at it for the point of view that it's a different news story and all the rest of it, but I can assure you from our side, and I could probably speak for Rangers on this point of view as well, whether it's Philip Clement speaking on behalf of his team and his players, it's another game of football. You know, there's 22 players are going to take to the field, there's going to be a round football there, and we'll go and play. You know, it's as simple as that. I'm not buying into any excuses about a change of venue or a different pitch. We knew our second game was going to be away from home. Initially we weren't quite sure where that was going to be until there was confirmation, but there's genuinely been no talk about it within our football club whatsoever, and I don't think there'll be too much from their side either.
What do Motherwell need to do to take points?
I think we have to perform at our absolute best, as we always do, but not just against Rangers, against any team in this league. You don't get anything for free. I've said that all along. I felt we were the better side on Saturday. We created the best chances. Their goalkeepers made the majority of the saves in the game with Ross Laidlaw, and we didn't convert our chances. We weren't quite clinical enough when that came our way. We're going to have to do all of that again, and we're going to have to carry an extra bit of quality. You'll understand that we'll be less in possession. You know, that tends to be a given when these games come about. So that starts to feel a wee bit different in how you prepare, but also starts to feel a wee bit different for the game on Saturday as well. So those are things that we've experienced time and again. We understand what we need to be at our best. You know, you're going to have to ride your luck. I reference playing against Rangers at Ibrox and winning 2-1 last season. We rode a luck on a few occasions throughout that game as well, but you know what, that's sometimes part and parcel of football. We're going to need that again, and we're definitely going to need that clinical edge at the top end of the pitch and that bit of creativity from the middle of the park, which I believe that we do have. It's about executing it when the time comes.
You played at Hampden, obviously. You managed?
I've never managed at Hampden, no. I think I've over 100 games there, but it wasn't in front of full crowds. In my Queen's Park days, of course it is, yeah, it is. As I say, you know, I've been a part of a Ross County team getting to a Scottish Cup final at Hampden, and as a reference, I've played, I think, well over 100 games there as a player, but yeah, never managed or coached there. But again, it's maybe a slightly bigger technical area than what we're used to. I think that's about the only difference.
I was going to say, get your steps in. What can you say to the players about playing in that stadium? Do you give them any advice? Because a lot of these guys won't have been there, and it might be a slightly different. I know you said it's a similar size to Ibrox, but it brings different things out.
Yeah, again, I think the main aspect that you look at is the vast majority of people that's in there are of a Rangers persuasion, and they want their team to win. You know, they'll be that so-called 12th man at times if Rangers are on top of the game and they're getting into their final third, into their penalty box, and they're creating chances. You always feel that, don't you, when you go to the big stadiums? So not so much it being Hampden, but more that fact of, you know, the being in the regions of 50,000 Rangers fans there. That always feels a bit different in moments of the game when you feel you're up against it, and it's very much a case of having emotional intelligence to be able to ride a bit of a storm at times and not let the atmosphere influence your decision making on the pitch. I'm really big on that. I think your decision making has to be really sharp, but not just in possession, but very much out of possession. And sometimes you don't quite hear the guy that's standing beside you, which can be a wee bit different for some of the grounds that you go to. So these are things that the vast majority of our players have experienced. We know we've got a few young guys and academy guys in there. You know, I think I referenced the likes of Lennon Miller's done it several times for us, playing in these environments and acquitted himself well. You see guys like Ewan Wilson now coming into that breach. Dylan Wells has been getting game time there for us, so it starts to become maybe a little bit different for these guys. But by and large, the rest of the group have played in front of big crowds and big stadiums.